I'm from my organisation, and we're coming from is called Think Forward, and we're the lead for Blackpool City of Learning here in the UK. Blackpool is like 1 hour north of Liverpool and 1 hour west by the seaside from Manchester. So we're quite accessible across the northwest of England. So that's why I have a strange accent as well sometimes when people say, oh, don't you speak funny? So yes, usually I'm from the north of England. So yeah, and Blackpool, it's kind of famous a little bit. It was a seaside holiday destination in the Victorian times, and then struggled to find its way later on in life. So lots of hotels became social housing projects and those kind of things, but it still is trying to be a seaside destination. So we have a tower, we have a theme park and everything else, which I'll talk a little bit more about later on. So who is in the Think Forward team? There's myself as project manager, Steve Burns, and some of you may know, I think, from Curaçao, who's been on trainings with him, with mental health training. He's a wellbeing delivery, and Sharon is strategy, and she leads on that side. So there's only 3 of us as directors. And then we have a team of freelancers who we employ locally to be involved in projects and to deliver on things. Our main aim for Think Forward is all about community and youth work professional and personal staff training development. So it's all about training those who want to work with young people or those who want to work with communities and giving them a professional pathway towards that area of work. So we do lots of youth work training for youth leadership development and also community development work for those working in communities. Then we have project development and management and delivery. So that's where a little bit the local work that we do through Blackpool City of Learning is based, but also we deliver work with the homeless organisation Street Life that we work with quite a lot. In Blackpool, young people's homeless organisation, we work quite closely with several different youth centres and youth clubs in developing summer projects. So we have one at the moment with a housing association, which I'll talk about, which is about podcasts. Even though Erasmus Plus is no longer available for people from the UK, we are trying our best to find different ways and pathways to maintain our international presence. And we're doing that through several other applications, but also we've just concluded the 21st Century Skills project that we've just completed with several partners from the cities and regions of learning. So we still try and stay international. And we like the fact that platform says .eu, even though we're in the UK. We still like that from our team anyway. So a little bit more about Blackpool. We have a seaside place. It's famous for its pleasure beach, which has the fastest roller coaster in the world. It used to be the highest. Then we have a roller coaster with an indoor element that has fire, ice, and all those kind of things. And people come from all over the world just to ride the roller coasters. Generally, that's what the people seem to do. We have a tower, which is, as you can see from the picture, it's like the Eiffel Tower, but a lot smaller. But underneath the tower, there's a very famous ballroom, and there is also a very historical circus pit there as well. So it's really quite famous, Blackpool. But we have a population of 145 to 150,000, and Blackpool is regularly at the top, not of the football tables, but regularly at the top of the challenging tables for things that are wrong with the place, in the sense of like the highest teenage pregnancy, the highest youth dependency on drugs, the highest challenging antisocial behaviour, the highest not maintaining and staying in school. And as you can see there, we've got one of the highest youth unemployment rates in the country as well. So because it used to be historically a seaside town, some of the employment work was seasonal. So they'd only have three months of the summer where there was opportunity to work, and then the rest of the time there would be nothing, but families would be still based here. Blackpool residents' weekly pay is lower than the national average by 43%, and that's gone down even more since I got the statistics, because that was 2021. And only 23% of the residents have a qualification of an MVQ level 4. So that's like the equivalent to an A-level kind of level, or so it's not university degree, but it's a lower level qualification. And that's where some of the levels are at. So we have quite poor attainment levels as well, which is unfortunate. That's why we think Blackpool City of Learning is really important to develop here. And it really does create opportunities for us. I think we're quite unique as a city of learning, because within the family, the international family, we got some national funding to support the development of Blackpool City of Learning, because we wasn't sure where the Erasmus Plus program was going and whether we could take part. So we decided to identify some national funding to make sure it was secure at least. We've done a lot of work around a program called the Arts Award. Now, the Arts Award is a national qualification in the arts, and that was where our partners wanted to pilot some of the work, and that created some of its own challenges, but also some of its own rewards as well when we delivered the Arts Award program. I'm trying to think how best to describe it. It's often described as the equivalent to Duke of Edinburgh Award, if anybody knows that, or a President's Award. So if you have something in your own countries or your islands, maybe have a national award for volunteering or something like this. It's similar to that, but you have to provide a certain amount of required evidence to obtain the qualification. And then locally, as we said, we work quite closely with the Magic Club, with an arts organisation called Left Coast, Young People's Careers Advice Service called The Platform, Urban Organic, our sustainability and gardening project. We have Street Life, the Electric Sunshine Project. They also have a theatre. Your Potential, Gilil, which is quite an interesting music project for anybody who's interested in music. This is Get It Loud in libraries. So they take over a library, and rather than everybody being really quiet in the library, they put on concerts, musical concerts in the library. And then we have another project called Antisocial as well. We're doing quite a lot of work with. So those are some of the local ones. And then the last international project that finished in May this year was the 21st Century Skills Education Programme online. And that's what I'm going to share, some of the activities that we created as part of that. As part of the long-term project, 21st Century Skills, we had to create 10 playlists per partner. This is what I'm going to be doing here. I'm just going to be sharing with you some of the playlists that we created in Blackpool based upon the 21st Century Skills. And one of the things we identified at the very beginning was we mapped out and did some research into what young people believe the 21st century skills were and what those who worked with young people believe the 21st century skills were. We identified 21 21st century skills. And one of them was talking. Communication came up as one of the priorities. That was one of the lead things. So with that, we worked with Blackpool Coastal Housing, who was one of our local partners. They support young people in supported housing schemes. And we created Tenants' Voice. So this is our playlist for Tenants' Voice. So this is all the young people who are resident in their housing association. And we're delivering a podcast training program for them. They have to share and interview some of the staff. So it's the young people who are resident in the housing who have to interview some of the staff, but they're also learning all the technical skills in how to develop a podcast, how to create a program, create some content, and as well asking the right questions and then doing the editing after and then creating the work. And we have a playlist here that basically takes them through from the podcast planning to the equipment and the space, and they get to know the equipment and the space we're going to be using, how to do the editing, distributing and sharing through social media, and as well as promoting the podcast. The podcast distribution is more about which platforms will host the podcast in the first place. That was one of the playlists that we developed as part of it. Another area we identified, certainly from a lot of the younger, those working with younger people, so like from 14, 15, 16-year-olds, they identified they still weren't aware of online safety issues. So we developed a playlist here, which is Netiquette. And this basically is all about sharing images. What is your digital footprint? Thinking about sensible security measures, what you share and how you share it, where you share it. Using digital tools for productivity and as well as keeping safe. And then also social communication. So that was Netiquette. One of the other areas, these were all developed and realized by Think Forward, so we're happy to share these ones. Another area is values and ethics. Yeah, this was all about understanding you. So we encourage young people to identify what their values are, what are values, and then what prioritizing principles and understanding them. Understanding ethics and what that means in our decision making, and then ethical decision making. And then how do we communicate those ethics and values, especially to employers, thinking about how we do that within the job market. Another one was working with others. So we tried to make these what we call entry level. Yeah. So again, here we can see this is working with others. One's being a competent collaborator. Yeah. So this is all about competent collaboration, effective communication, achieving adaptability, and nurturing networking. And it's all about how to build networks and build relationships within everything we do. Because quite often, a lot of employers were saying they want people who can work with other people and also work internationally, work across cultures as well. And then this is why we created this very basic understanding entry-level playlist about working with others. And then, as I mentioned before, we do a lot with this Arts Award program, but what we've never done is had an open Arts Award access. So this bronze is, the Arts Award has 5 different levels, which is Discover, Explore, Bronze, Silver, and Gold. Normally people getting bronze are usually aged 12 through to 16, 17 years old. And that's a level 1 qualification. And so what we did, we identified and developed an open Arts Award, which means any young people from Blackpool can access this and get a level 1 qualification. They get an art. This first, they have to identify what's their arts ambition. Then they have to take part in an arts event and review their learning. So what have they learned creatively? Then they have to be the audience. So they could go to a gallery, they could go to a performance, a theatre show, and write a review, and then they share that with somebody else. And then, similar to what we asked you, what was your digital inspiration? Yeah, or spark. What's their arts inspiration? So this could be an object or a person, a photographer, a filmmaker, a poet, or anybody locally. So they do that. And then they have to share a skill. If they provide the evidence for all of this visually, either video, photographs, written text, or anything like that, then once it's approved, they would get a level 1 qualification that's nationally recognized across the board. So that's they were the ones that we developed as part of the project. So we did 5. And then we had our local partners that we were working with who also developed some playlists. So I've just got a couple here to share as well. Street Life work a lot with international volunteers, working with the homeless young people in Blackpool. But one of the problems is with the international volunteers, they arrive and they get thrown straight into the world of volunteering and work, but they don't have much chance to get social and active locally. So they developed this playlist, which is all about a postcard from Blackpool, taking part. Oh, there's another 3 activities. There should be another 3 activities that are not there at the moment for some reason. But the whole playlist is all about getting the young people to think about what's available locally. So it's about them being proactive in finding what's available locally. So is there a cinema? Is there a theatre group? Is there an ice skating rink? Is there a book club that they could go and take part in? So it's all those things outside of the work and the volunteering that they could get involved in. And then this one is the careers service, the platform, the Young People's Careers Service. They identified 5 of the 21st century skills, and they were really proactive in developing it. They have lots of meetings with young people about having unrealistic job aspirations. So then they have to bring them down and saying, what realistically can you achieve as a job and employment? And they started to work on these 5 areas, which is one about resilience. One is about developing habits and routines. Another one around working on your own initiative, having the confidence in a variety of settings, and also having what are the personal habits? How do you eat? Do you exercise? Do you socialize? And those kind of things are all included in that. And these, unfortunately, belong to the partners. So I'm not able to say they're open access for everybody to share because they've developed them on the platform. But I'm sure they would be open to some communication and collaboration. And then the Magic Club, they did this peer educators induction playlist. What they have is a lot of young people who have really positive youth club experiences, but when they become too old, they don't know where to go next. So now they've created this peer education program where the young people become peer educators, and they're a bit of an older group, but then also they start taking some more responsibility within the youth centre. So it's all about knowing the Magic Club, how is it funded, who are the staff there, what are the policies and procedures for the club, and how they can influence and shape the youth club and the activities, and then also writing a review of they have to deliver a project as part of this as well. What kind of skills do they bring to the table? and they have to share that then through this playlist here. So those are just a couple of them that we identified and developed as part of the 21st Century Skills. There was another 2 or 3, I think, that we did, some of our partners did locally, but I just thought I'd share those ones that were available. Whenever we first embark in a relationship with local partners, if the platform's new to them, we always say start really small. Yeah, really think of a simple local project that you can engage with a small group of young people, and then you go through the process together, so then you can understand what you need to do as a worker, but also what the young people need to do for obtaining that. And that's using also the app to support evidence submission, and also for giving responses to the evidence that they've included as well. And we do that through a bit of hand-holding, as we call it, also a little bit of training. And one of the other things we do locally is we have a very active MailChimp every three to 4 months. We have a newsletter, a MailChimp newsletter that goes out, and that really works, and that generates lots of conversations, lots of emails that follow up after every issue, or people joining it. So that also extends the network locally as well. So that's about engaging organizations, engaging young people. So what we do, we have regular support drop-in sessions for young people. And like as I mentioned before, to overcome digital poverty, but also some digital reluctancy. Maybe through COVID, some young people have a sense that, oh, we're doing something online again, or we just don't care, and those kind of things. So it's also trying to overcome some of that. And one of the things we like to do locally is we always like to support people by creating badge families. So it looks like all the badges are connected. They look similar. They all have a similar style, a similar color scheme, a similar design. So then they look like they're all part of the same family. I think it's great, the opportunities that you have within the platform, where it automatically creates your visual badge, but then also that's a really quick and easy way of doing it. But I think certainly in reviewing this with young people, they like the fact that there's so much diversity in the badge design, but they all look the same for each playlist. So there's just a couple of examples there. And now what we're doing as well, we're exploring the possibility of creating a one-stop VR shop in Blackpool, which is working with the Careers Advice, the Homeless Organisation and Housing Association. We realise there's quite a high percentage of young people, older young people, 16 to 21, who are reluctant adventurers outside of their own front door. Yeah, so they tend not to, they're usually gamers, people who are into gaming, and spend a lot of time inside. They get pizzas and food and drink and all the shopping they need delivered to their door, so they don't need to go out. So we're trying to reach out to those groups by having looking at a one-stop VR shop where we have different collaborators, local partners offering support, a mental health advisor, careers advice, employment support and benefit, and then also housing solutions as well, all in one place. So we're looking at developing that. And for the young people that sign up, they would get access potentially to some ocular headsets as well. And one of the other successes in reaching young people and organizations is since we've been going, we've employed a social media manager who basically manages our social media content on Instagram and Facebook particularly, but also will do others, and occasionally Twitter. And their reach, they're always very proactive in posting what's happening, what's coming up, and also networking with other organizations. And that's helped us a lot in reaching and engaging with young people locally. So there's this is the closing last slide now. So this is, I think, start small and grow tall is the best way forward. If it's totally new to you, really come up with a really basic and simple playlist that can engage with young people and go through that journey together with them and get their feedback as you go, because then that will also help how you improve creating a playlist, how you engage with young people as well. So use it as a whole group learning experience. Special needs need special treatment. And I think it's certainly, we've noticed, especially with working with young people with the autistic spectrum, they respond really well to having a box where you ask a question and then they can submit evidence. It really works for a lot of people like that. I put participatory promotion and engagement. This is about going out on the street, having the QR code. I know from the very beginning, people have done really well in having a QR code to engage badge earners and badge learners Yeah, and that really works in having something local where people can get responses straight away. And I think start local, but then gain regional and also international recognition and status for that as well. So I think there's some real opportunities. And I think it really does demonstrate learning, engagement, progress, and recognition. Those are the 4 things that we've identified: demonstrating learning, engagement, progress, and recognition. We include a lot of the work that we do through Blackpool City of Learning now in future applications for funding and projects that we want to realise. And that seems to help us, certainly locally.